All right, down with debanking. President Trump not done with America's big bank bias. Now preparing to sign an executive order that would penalize financial institutions if they are found guilty of cutting off conservatives, religious groups, or crypto firms, according to a Wall Street Journal report.
And the move comes as President Trump continues to call out J.P. Morgan Chase for shutting down his personal accounts where he says he says loaded up with cash. A J.P. Morgan spokesperson denying those accusations, claiming the bank doesn't account for political reasons, and in a rare move, agreeing with President Trump that, quote, regulatory change is desperately needed.
Well, our next guest was a victim of debanking himself. Joining us now, former Kansas governor and senator and chairman of the National Committee for Religious Freedom, Sam Brownback. It's great to have you with us. Thank you for being here. And I believe it was in 2022 that your nonprofit, the National Committee for Religious Freedom, had accounts with J.P. Morgan that were suddenly closed. It's my understanding when you inquired about it, you got the runaround and no clear explanation, but that you allege that they actually asked you for information on donor lists and political candidates that the institution would be supporting. I mean, these are not regular questions that come up in the conversation of banking, are they?
No, and they never should come up in the conversation of banking. You shouldn't have to disclose, and you don't have to disclose those sorts of things. But what you were seeing taking place was really a bank pushing, well, I don't know what agenda they were pushing, but you could sure see on the left in the regulatory regime that they were pushing their social agenda through the regulatory system. And it ended up coming out in some debanking of a lot of conservative groups. Ours was one of those.
You know, whether it's religious freedom or any other form of freedom, the key is that this is about capitalism and access to capital and our banking system. It's one of the reasons we have been strong as a country. Broadening this topic, what do you say to banks out there at any size, whether it's the biggest or the smallest, on how they should approach their clients?
Well, they should approach their clients as a client and not as a cause. They should look at their clients and say, you know, you have a right to be in this bank. I may not agree with your political agenda. I may not agree with your social stances, but that's not my job. I'm a bank. I'm here to handle your money, to handle the financial transactions that you have. And what you were starting to see coming up and through some of these big organizations was this effort to really be a social change agent. I mean, a la Bud Light, seeing themselves as a social change agent and not as a beer company.
Right.
This shouldn't happen in the United States. And hopefully we're starting to see that tide recede and hopefully go away altogether.
Real quick, can I just ask you about the president's executive order? It was back at Davos where he called out banks by name, Bank of America and J.P. Morgan as well. In the executive order, we don't see that same sort of directive pinpointed at specific institutions. Do you think that this is enough to accomplish what he's trying to do? It certainly seems like it's a step in the right direction.
It's a step in the right direction, but you're going to need statutory language. An executive order can be overturned by the next president that comes in. You really need disclosure of why people are being debanked when it happens to them, or de-insured or de-platformed. You're seeing this really creep into a lot of places, this effort to suffocate a political view, a religious view that you don't agree with, and it really belongs nowhere in the marketplace in America.
Only on the bottom line can we cover religious freedom, banking freedom, and beer freedom all in one. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.